welcome to Have Guitar Will Travel, presented by Vintage Guitar Magazine, with your host, me, James Patrick Regan, otherwise known as Jimmy from the Deadlies. And today I'm speaking with guitarist and record company promoter Paul Rappaport, who's written a new book that will be available April 1st called Gliders Over Hollywood. In our conversation, Paul tells us about the 1962 Gibson Les Paul Jr., which is the SG shape, that was given to him by Buck Dharma and Blue Oyster Cult, whom he worked with at Columbia Records. And he describes how he helped the band. He also shares with us a couple of Gibson Les Paul reissues, a 1952 Goldtop and a 1959 Burst. And Paul also discusses his amps. Paul talks about his friends in vintage instruments, producer Perry Margouleff, which is perrymargouleff.com, and amp builder Mitch Colby, which is colbyamps.com, who are working on the new Sundragon amps with Jimmy Page. Paul tells us about growing up in Downey, California, and starting on lap steel, and eventually moving to guitar and playing in the band the Jades with his Rickenbacker 6-string that he eventually gave to Elvis Costello. Paul talks about his other passions, surfing and his family, and Paul tells us the story of his punk band, Morgan David and the Winos, which included Harold Bronson of Rhino Records fame. Paul explains how Paul Bloomfield helped him with his guitar playing. Paul then tells us about a gift he received from the band Pink Floyd. He got to play with Pink Floyd on stage in the London Arena. He'd been working with them since they began on Columbia Records. Again, Paul's book is called Gliders Over Hollywood, and it'll be available April 1st. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, and most of all, review this podcast. I'd really appreciate it. And please support Vintage Guitar Magazine and all the wonderful things they do for us guitar players, because you know what? They do so many wonderful things for us guitar players. Here's my buddy Paul. How are you, Paul?
I'm good. Yeah, where are you from? Where are you calling from?
I am calling from Napa, California.
Oh, okay. Wow.
How about you? Where are you at?
I live in New York now.
Oh, do you really? What part?
Yeah, I grew up in Southern California, but I love San Francisco. I love the Bay Area. So.
Yeah. What part of New York?
Long Island. Okay. On the North Shore, not too far from Great Neck, place called Port Washington.
Okay. Near Montauk?
That's about a 3-hour drive.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Yeah, I like to surf there when I can, but it's a mission to get out there. But that's the only wave on the East Coast that sort of rivals a California wave. Okay. Because they have a reef break out there.
All right. The Les Paul Jr.
Yeah. I actually, because I knew I was going to be talking to you, I'll show it to you. I'm happy to be talking to a guitar guy because I put a lot of guitar stuff in this book, and I wondered, man, am I putting too much guitar stuff in? I said, well, I don't know if you're a guitar player, you really like it, so I put it in anyway.
Sure. I love it.
If you don't like it, you can blow by it, but
No.
Not you, but
Yeah.
So this is this.
Yeah. It looks like it hasn't been played. What's up?
Oh, no, I've played this guitar for years.
Okay.
This was my go-to guitar for years and years and years. I just take care of my stuff. I mean, every once in a while you get a nick or something.
Yeah.
But the thing that's amazing about this guitar is the neck profile.
It looks
because
great.
It doesn't have the rounded sort of baseball neck.
Exactly.
Right, so it's wider but flatter.
Yeah.
And so the action is is fantastic,
Sure.
and because it's made in '62, it's a real guitar. Which I'd be curious to know what line do you cut off? Real, I have a friend of mine who's a vintage guitar guy. I don't know if you know a guy named Perry Margouleff. You ever heard of him?
No.
He's a vintage guitar guy in New York.
Okay.
So we always talk about when do we think the real guitars ended? Like what year did they not become as good? With the sort of rounded beveled neck and the that kind of cool stuff. And I don't know what year it is, but this is a '62, I think.
Yeah, I think that the age really depends on the person, because to someone that might be younger than us. It's all in what was available when you were a kid.
I think so, but I think also if you play, it's interesting. I have a couple of, you can see a couple of reissues, and I'm lucky because I just took my time to find good guitars, and it took me a really long time to find good guitars because the quality isn't what it used to be.
Sure.
But I'll show you this one because this is pretty amazing. Okay, this is a reissue.
Yeah.
It's called a tribute model.
Okay.
They made it like the original Les Paul with the tail piece, right? This is the idea of this.
Yeah, exactly. 52-ish.
Yes. And so my friend Perry actually has the original of this.
Yeah.
And I brought it over and I said, hey, look, man, and this guitar is a sort of a fun story to it, but I said, hey, I wonder if I take, these reissue P90s out and I put original P90s and I wonder how it will sound. He said, we'll bring the guitar over.
Yeah.
Okay, we A-B'd this guitar to the original.
Wow.
It was so close. He goes, don't even bother. It's just the same sound. He goes, don't even bother, which I was shocked at. But I think that there are certain guitars, and I'm a Gibson guy, so I can only speak for Gibson, but there are certain guitars that if you find when they were made or the right ones, I guess.
Yeah.
When the custom shop, maybe they got a good slew of them, or some guy was making sure they, this one turned out much more special than I thought, especially when we A-B'd it, to the other one.
Yeah.
And then that one back there, that's a 59 reissue. It was, I found it in the corner collecting dust. It had been in a Sam Ash music store for 2 years.
Wow.
And I just, whenever I am looking for a guitar, whatever, I just pick them up and play them. As you well know, they're all different. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
You got to play them. And so I've been looking for, after getting the P90s, I was like, oh, no, I want to get a proper, because if you play P90 pickups and you go play in a bar somewhere, the pickups can be out of control because of the light or whatever. So you have to control the volume more.
Yeah.
So I said, let me get a proper guitar with humbuckers. And I'm just always playing guitar. So I go to Sam Ash, and it doesn't even look that good because it hadn't been polished. It just looked like dull and whatever. Yeah. And I said, well, a friend of mine used to sell me, the same guy sold me that one. So I said, well, what's that guitar?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, well, you should hear that guitar. I'm like, really? So I'm playing it. As a guitar player, you don't have to even plug it in. Like, you'll know right away.
Yep.
And I'm playing it, and I'm like, wow, whoa. He goes, where do you plug it in, right? Guitars, maybe I'm plugging a guitar in for like 5 minutes at the most. I sat with this guitar for 45 minutes going,
wow.
Oh, wow. But it was very expensive.
So
I had to think about it. So I said, wow. And again, it wasn't a looker.
Yeah.
Didn't matter to me. It's this. So I go, let me think about it. On my 40-minute drive home, I realized if I don't get this guitar, it's going to be, I've only had one that got away. All right. I'm going, this is going to be another one of those that got away.
Yeah, yeah.
So I called them up and I go, hey, this is, I think they were selling it at the time for $6,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So, which is, for me, I'm not going to go out and buy the, Joe Walsh, 10 grand, blah, blah. Give me a break. Anyway, but $6,000 is a lot of dough.
Sure it is.
So I said, let me get I said, I really want this guitar. I'm going to come back now. Will you hold this door open? He goes, yeah. I said, okay. So I gathered some stuff. I had a telly that I wasn't playing. I had an amp that I wasn't using and something else. And I give him that, and I give him some cash. And then I had to put the rest of it on time. Yeah. But here's the funniest thing. He said, well, that guitar has been sitting here for over longer than a year. So we are considering it old. And so I'm going to give you $1,000 off right away just because it's old. Great.
Yeah.
All right. So I get the guitar. I can't stop playing it. My friend Perry sets it up. It's like brilliant. My wife goes on vacation, thank God, because I'm playing it all day and all night. Like I can't sleep. I'm like playing this guitar. And I look at the guitar and I go, you're not really a looker, but it's okay. When people hear you, they're going to love you. And I'm talking to the guitar. If you're a guitar person, you understand. If you're listening and you're not, you're going to think we're fucking nuts. But, also, you don't want me to curse, right? You want this to be...
I don't care. Go curse away.
Doesn't matter anyway.
It doesn't matter.
So I go, wait a minute. I said, it probably hasn't been polished. And so I get out, it's like 3 a.m. and I'm polishing this guitar, and lo and behold, it's very beautiful. It's just no one ever took care of it. And I'm watching this sort of frog turn into a princess, right? I was like, oh my God, look at you. Who knew? It doesn't matter to me. I'm not buying them for the color, but, it doesn't hurt, to look nice.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
But that one was built, now I get on the internet because I want to know, what is this? Okay, well, that one was built in 2013. Well, lo and behold, in 2013, Gibson was making 59 reissues, and that somebody made them special. Like they went out and got the old wood, the old glue, everything. They were trying to make it.
Yep.
Turns out that was from one of those batches, and I didn't know when I bought it. I just knew what it felt like.
Yeah.
So I lucked out,
Right on. And you said there's a story behind the Goldtop as well, right?
Well, the funniest thing is, I get it. I'm playing it. Very noisy. Now, I know the P90 pickups are noisy.
Yep.
The Junior has one P90.
Yep.
But I'm used to it. You just deal with the volume different, and you just deal with it different. So, but it's really noisy. And I'm like, this is like too noisy. So I go to Perry, who's also a record producer, and the guy's in everything. He's like the East Coast aficionado. He sells guitars to like David Gilmour and Gibbons. He's like on that level, right?
Yeah.
I said, Perry, I think I bought a good guitar, man. It feels great. I said, and I know P90s are noisy, but this is out of control. So he looks at it and he goes, oh my God. I said, what? He goes, Gibson, there's not a ground wire in this guitar. I go, what are you talking about? I go, and that guitar wasn't cheap, but I think that guitar was $3,600.
Yeah.
When I bought it, whatever. It's still, it's still money, right?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I just paid $3,600 for this guitar. It's like you're telling me Gibson didn't, put a ground. He said, hey, Gibson's changed and they have some. Right? All right. Perry also happens to do a lot of work with Jimmy Page.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he does all Jimmy's guitars, and him and Jimmy now have an amp company together. This guy's got quite a history.
Yeah.
I just spent $3,600 on a guitar. He says, bring it to my shop. Now, I just met the guy.
Uh-huh.
We're best friends now for a number of reasons, but I just met the guy, and I go to his shop. Now, you talk about a shop that has a lot of guitars, a lot of amps. There's like, this guy's a collector, okay? There's like 8 Super Beatles all in a row.
Oh, wow.
8 Super Beatles, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy is, but I'm like, so he says, okay, I'm going to drill a hole. I'm like, wait a minute. You're going to drill a hole? He goes, yeah, from the tailpiece, I got to drill a hole through the guitar body into where the pickups are. That's where the ground wire is going to go. I go, you're going to drill a hole in my guitar. He goes, yeah. He said, well, I just did the same for Jimmy Page, and he was happy. He says, so, and I went, okay. If Pagey's happy, I'll be happy.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy is a craftsman. He said, hold your guitar like a baby. Because the first thing he did is he ripped out he said, this is so hysterical. He looks at my guitar and he goes, this is cheap Chinese junk. And he just rips it out. Like everything, pots, wires, it's nothing but now it's just, the cavity. But he says, hold your guitar like a baby. And sure enough, he had to drill this long, little by little, by little by little. Now, you know how drills work. A little bit this way, a little bit that way. You don't hit the spot.
Yeah, yeah.
By little, magic, right in the spot. He had ordered new parts when he first saw the guitar. He said, "You need real Les Paul parts." He goes, I'm just gonna get the parts for you." I said, "Fine."
Wow.
I have no idea what it's gonna cost.
Yeah.
He just said, "Let me make this a real guitar." I said, "Fine." It didn't sound bad when I bought it, but so fine. So then he puts it all back together. New pot, new everything, new wire. The whole deal is new. He's teasing me while he's putting it together, going, do you remember where the green wire went? I'm like, but he's teasing me because he's a freaking genius, this guy. So he puts it all back together, and he's got a recording studio.
Uh-huh.
Let's go back down to the recording studio. He goes, now play it. And sure enough, the P90 is still growling, but the guitar speaks when it's spoken to. Wow. It's not speaking by itself when you don't want it to. He said, that's the way that guitar is supposed to sound.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, I came back later and we A-B'd it against the original.
Uh-huh.
And that was just shocking to both of us because you just didn't expect a reissue to be that. But somebody paid attention and somebody made it happen. So
yeah. So we didn't even talk about the Les Paul Jr. because you got that from Buck, right?
Yeah, I got it from the whole band. I had if I don't know if you had a chance to read the book or parts of it
I didn't get the whole book. I only got the highlights.
You only got the highlights?
Yeah.
You're a guy that needs this book. You have to give me your address when we're done. How do you want it? Do you want it a Kindle or a PDF or
however you send it to me? I will gladly accept it.
Oh, well, what would you rather? Do you read books?
Yeah, I read books. What the hell? Look at me.
Don't you like this one? I think
I
you'll
look
like
educated, don't I?
Oh, no. I just want to know some people want a Kindle, some people want a real book.
Yeah. No, however, PDF is fine with me.
So, I was a big part of their career.
Uh-huh.
In the early 70s, Columbia Records was releasing so many records at once that they all didn't come with a marketing plan. Records would just show up.
Yeah.
And we would listen to them just because we were music people, and no one called and said, oh, there's this band or blah, 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 blah. So I get the first Blue Oyster Cult record, and I'm listening to it, and I'm going, wow, who are these guys?
Yeah.
Right? The music is kind of metal, but it's kind of progressive. The guitar player is amazing. The songs are like insane. The titles are like Transmaniacon MC. Like, who are these guys? So I fall in love with it, and I took it to a friend of mine who ran a station in Long Beach, California, which is outside of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And he was able to play any music he wanted because he wasn't under the pressure of the bigger rock stations to have ratings. So it's hard to get new records played on those stations.
Yeah.
So there's a guy named Ron McCoy, guy from Texas, very cool guy. I said, Ron, I got this new record. You got to hear this. So he listens to it. He goes, oh, who are these guys? I go, yeah, that's what I want to know, right? They're on my label.
Yeah.
So he starts playing the music, and he's getting listener response. And then the label put out a bootleg live record. And as you well know, bands can go in and record, but the more they play, the better they sound. I wish bands would go and play all these songs live and then record.
Sure, yeah.
Instead of the other way around, because the live is always better because they've
worked it out.
Learned it better. They're playing it better.
Yeah.
At any rate, when I heard that, that's what blew my mind. I was like, oh my God. And one of the tracks on there was a track called Buck's Boogie.
Uh-huh.
And, the guitar player, his name is Donald Rosser, but his rock guitar name is Buck Dharma. Everybody knows him as Buck, right?
Yeah,
Buck,
of course.
And great guys, by the way. And I take that to Ron. He starts playing that. Now, all of a sudden, the phones are really lighting up. Like, what is this band? And then I said, oh, my God, we're starting to sell some albums. And now the next thing to do is we need a live performance. So I thought, well, we could bring them in as an opening act. I could call a local promoter. But then I went to the people that owned the station because it was owned by a family.
Uh-huh.
And it was owned by the Hardin family. It was a husband and a wife. And I said, look, why don't you promote a show? I said, you guys are playing this record. You're making this happen. Why don't you should get the money, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, the band makes money, but as a promoter, you should make money too because you're doing this. And, who wants to go? I can go to the big promoters in town, but you deserve it.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to get like a theater or a club, right?
Uh-huh.
They booked the Long Beach Arena. Okay.
Wow.
12,000 seats. So now they have to sell tickets. So now I'm going, well, wait a minute, this is even better than I thought because now they're going to sell all these tickets. Boy, KNEC was like Blue Oyster Cult, all the time because they have to sell tickets. They have to sell, we're selling music.
Yeah.
Now we're really starting to sell albums, and I knew we wouldn't sell out, but I believe at the end of the ticket count, we were somewhere like at 8,000.
Wow.
Now the band's never played in front of this many people before. They play in clubs, right?
Yeah.
All right, now they're on an arena stage.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is, they're so good, they can hold an arena stage.
Uh-huh.
Like they were thrilled to play it. I mean, the crowd went bananas. They came off stage. They were realizing their own work, right? It was like, whoa, we can really do this.
Yeah.
Word spread across, through the record company, of course, and then across to the rest of the promoters across the United States that this band was really, worth, playing live. And so they skipped the club stage and went right to theaters.
Oh, wow.
Right? So they could play 3,000-seat theaters because of this reputation, and people knew about it, and they felt confident to sell the tickets because they knew the band would deliver.
Yeah.
I did that in Long Beach, and then I did another show in San Diego because I figured as long as they're flying the band out, let's do something similar in San Diego.
Yeah.
I did a show in San Diego. When they did 2 sold-out shows at Golden Hall, same thing, radio station playing the music, likes the band, promotes the show. So now all of a sudden California's like explodes with Blue Oyster Cult, and it catapults their career. So I'm a hero at Columbia. I'm certainly a hero to the band. I'm I feel like, wow, maybe I'm meant to be here. I just did something really cool, and they come back a year later on tour. I go to re-meet them. Hey guys, nice to re-meet you. Da da da. And the manager, Sandy Perlman.
Yep.
I used to talk. I'm a guitar guy, so whoever I'm working with, I love talking guitar. So do they, right? All these people. It doesn't matter. Gilmore, Keith Richards, they're guitar guys, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
They're celebrities, but they're guitar guys first.
Yep.
That's why they became celebrities, right?
Yep.
So it's great to talk guitar, and so Sandy pulls out a case, and he goes, "Look, Buck's got this new guitar. He likes to show you all this new stuff."
Yeah.
And it's a Les Paul Jr. and it plays like butter, and I'm just like, "Oh my God, Buck's such a lucky guy! Oh man, my God, this guitar's amazing." Excuse me. And Sandy says, "You really like it, huh?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Great." He says, "It's yours." I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "That's a present from the band and me for what you did for us."
Wow.
It's like, and I was gobsmacked, right? I was like, oh my God. I mean, it's like, this is 62 Les Paul Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just amazed. All day long, I was like in a daze.
Uh-huh.
I must have thanked them 20 times a piece. Like, just by the way, in case I didn't tell you, hey, Buck, hug me, thanks. and those guys and I have been friends for years and years.
Yeah, right on. And how tall are you?
How tall am I?
Yeah.
Taller than Buck.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I'm 6'1". I'm 6'1.5".
Okay, yeah, you're about like.
Now Buck actually, when he figured it out, he actually started playing guitars without headstocks.
Yes, exactly.
I don't like the look myself. It freaks me out.
Yeah, me too.
But I asked him, why are you doing that? And he said, honestly, he goes, I know that I'm short. And when I play something with a giant headstock, it looks. I look better this way.
I mean, Angus is short too, and he gets away with it. So
yeah, look what the guitar looks like on him. Right, he looks like a kid playing a double-sized guitar instead of a kid version, right? So
and then there's Tom Schultz, who's 6'6", and
the guitar looks like a freaking piece of chewing gum. So
exactly. What about amps? What are you doing for amps?
I've gone through a lot of different amps. I've gone through expensive, hand-wired stuff. I like tube amps. I mean, you just can't beat it. The thing that comes the closest is who makes it, the Katana. What's that amp? The Katana is the model, not the.
Huh. I'm just thinking of the Katana pedal that.
No, it's a. It's driving me crazy. Let me look this up.
Okay, do it.
That's the closest thing to tubes, but again, it's not tubes. It's it's a sound alike. The Katana amp. 50 Boss makes it. All right. Boss Katana.
Yeah.
I would recommend it for anyone that wants a working amp and doesn't want to have to worry about the tubes going out or whatever, or have it as a backup.
Sure.
Because you can get it to sound close. So I've been through, I've got, these specialized, hang on, what's this guy? I can't remember. He makes amps for, let me just look at this here. You ever heard of Blankenship?
Yeah, of
Blankenship?
Course. Yes.
All right. So I have a Blankenship because I played a friend of mine's.
Uh-huh.
And I got it from Roy, who's a very, enigmatic character.
Yeah, and does amps for everybody. I mean,
Right.
all the hard rock guys.
Yeah, so I said I want to. So I called him. I didn't hear from him for a while. Didn't show for a while. Sent him a note. Don't worry. It's coming.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful amp. I mean, it's hand wired. Before he sent it to me, some heavy duty Studio Cat played out of it, and he goes, "Just so you know, so and so played out of your amp," and he thought it was great. So, not that I needed any assurance, whatever. But I liked it. He uses all the best parts. He has his own sound.
Yeah.
This one back here began as the Fender Tremolux Eric Clapton model.
Okay.
Right now, I go by that amp. Hello, that's another. What did that thing cost at 32, 37? I mean,
yeah.
But I played out of it. I'm thinking, well, it's got Clapton's name on it. He's not going to make something crummy, right?
Yep.
I played out of it for a little while, and then the amplifier part just blew for some reason. Now, the guy that works with Perry is a guy named Mitch Colby. Are you hip to Mitch Colby amps?
I'm not hip to Mitch Colby. No. See, I'm the West Coast guy.
Right, East Coast guy, sir. Okay, Mitch, guess what? Used to run Marshall.
Oh, wow.
He was the big Marshall guy. He creates his own amps. Mm-hmm. So I go, hey, Mitch, I could take this to Sam Ash or something, but amps. I mean, could you just put like a new, power amp in or, whatever it needs. All right, so I take it to Mitch Colby. All right. 2 weeks later, I come back. He goes, here's your amp. He goes, I kind of augmented it a little bit. I said, what do you mean? I got to put this thing in, I put these tubes in, and he shows me, he's got a baggie of wires and resistors and transistors and capacitors. He goes, this is all cheap Chinese junk. So I rebuilt your amp like it should be, like how it's supposed to sound, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that amp now, is built by Mitch Colby, really.
Yeah.
And I haven't found anything better than it.
Uh-huh.
The band I'm in, we don't play out that much, so it's not like I need a workhorse amp. But what's interesting to me is I'm playing Les Pauls, but I prefer a Fender amp sound.
Sure.
Marshall to me is too dark.
Yeah.
And it's the sound is so overdone. Like everybody plays a Les Paul through a Marshall, so I'm OD'd on that sound. Like I don't want that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not really a big pedal guy. I got like a gain pedal and a delay pedal. That's it, just to fatten up the note, right?
Yeah.
So the pedals sound better to me out of Fender amps.
Uh-huh.
Whatever Fender amp I play out of, I prefer it, to the Marshall. But I do have an old Gibson amp. Again, my friend Perry is the collector.
Yeah, yeah.
From one of my birthdays, gave me a 1956 Gibson amplifier, and that sound is just a real special old 50s warm.
Yeah, yeah. I got it.
I play that sometimes. And then the problem is, of course, is like every once in a while somebody comes up and, hey, you should try this amp, and you probably have one too many amps and one too many circles, one too many guitars, and you know how it goes. So. Yeah.
It's Perry and Mitch that are working with Jimmy Page, correct?
Yeah, they're actually building. If you look it up, they're building Sundragon amps.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
You want to buy a Sundragon amp? It's Perry and Mitch who are making these amps.
Uh-huh.
I went over there and watched them. They're all handmade.
Yep.
It's beautiful to watch what they're doing, and it's like a workshop, and then there's rows of all the different things that go into this amplifier.
Yeah.
They're not inexpensive, but they're really good.
Yeah.
If you have the dough, they had a small version, and now they're making the big, giant, stage versions.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy signs some of them. But these guys know what they're doing. They know quality. Yeah. They know guitars. Mitch is a guitar player. They know amps. They know sounds. It's fun. It's really great to have gotten to know them. And I feel very blessed because they've helped me with my guitars and my setups and amps and stuff like that. So, what guitar? What do you play? What kind of guitar do you play?
You know what? We could talk about me all day long,
Okay. I mean, are you partial? Like, are you even a Fender or Gibson guy, or are you just whatever is working for you at the time?
I play in a surf band, and it's for lack of a better term, it's a surf band, and I play I play a Fender thin line tellies.
Okay.
And
are you plugged into an old fashioned Fender reverb? I hope.
No. That's that's why it's for lack of a better term. I don't use reverb. I use slapback, so it's more of a rockabilly sound.
Okay.
And I plug into. I have from the East Coast. I have 3 Monkey amps, and I use Dr. Z amps from Ohio.
Okay. Now, are you guys playing surf music or like instrumental stuff as we know it? Is that what you're playing?
Yeah. So,
I mean, are you playing like Dick Dale stuff? Are you playing Mr. Moto?
Yes,
okay.
All that stuff.
Okay. Now, I want you to listen to me closely because you're younger than me, right?
I don't know, not by much.
All right. Well, I need you to take this to heart.
Okay.
You need a proper Fender reverb unit.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have to get an old. You don't have to get one from the '60s. You can get a reissue.
No, I have.
Because you can't. Whatever sound you're getting, and you might be getting a good one.
Yeah.
You cannot replicate the sound. And someone bought me one as a present.
And
all I know is there's a thing on there called Dwell, and when you put Dwell on 7,
yes,
you put whatever else is on 7.
Yep.
You'll sound like freaking Dick Dale, okay? Or you sound like the Challengers. You can't. Whatever reverbs they put in the bottoms of amps, you just can't replicate it.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if it costs that much now. But if you're in a surf band, I'm begging you to get you just go to a store and try one.
No, I know.
You'll hear it. You'll hear it. It'll blow your mind. That pop, you can't get it unless you got the Fender box.
No, Dr. Z sent me one of his. It's basically a replica of the Fender reverb unit. It's the unit. It's the.
Oh, okay. So you got it. So
I have one. I just don't use it very much because it's we're playing in places where we have to compete with punk bands and stuff like that, and so if I muddy up my sound too much, it just doesn't carry.
It won't. Yeah, I find even when I put a delay on, sometimes it's not coming through.
Exactly.
But you're playing at a small club.
Exactly.
And I'm spoiled because I like the little delay, just enough. Not even a real delay, but it's almost like a slap back. That's all I do. Just to fatten the note.
Yeah, that's it.
Same deal though. If you're like, there's times where the guitar disappears because of the. It just floats out.
Yeah. Yep.
I get that. Yeah. Man, you're playing a surf band. You're my guy. I love it.
Back to you.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
So you grew up in Southern California. Were you playing guitar when you were a kid?
Yeah. I actually started playing when I was 7. I played lap steel.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to learn how to play a regular guitar because I had seen guitar players. On Sunday mornings in the 50s, there was a guy who had a big car lot, Cal Worthington, and he had shows
yes.
on Sunday mornings where he had country acts.
Yep.
It would entice you to come down, right? But it's live television. It's like, hey, hi, it's Cal Worthington, and we've got all these country acts coming up. I'm 7 years old watching people play guitar.
Yep.
And I was just drawn to it. I was like, I look at they're all different. Some are big and some are little and some have wide necks and some skinny necks, but whatever they're doing, they're telling a story. Yeah. Well, I'm only 7.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this like, no, there's a story that comes out of each one, and because they all have a different sound and a different voice, it's a different story, and also the people that are singing songs are messages.
Yeah, of course.
And I wanted to learn that, but when my parents called the instrument store, the music store, they sent out a woman, and she told my parents, said, your son's going to have a hard time learning guitar because he's not going to be able to press the strings down. This is what she said, on a proper Spanish guitar.
Oh, my goodness.
You got to realize, this is 1950-something. I'm born in 48, so what year is it when I'm 7? I'm terrible.
55.
Huh?
You're 55. Or it's 55 or 55.
Yeah, okay. No. No, I know. No, you know what? It's 1955 because speaking of amplifiers, I still have my 1955 Champ amp.
Oh, right on.
Still own it.
Yeah.
That's what I got. I got a Champ amp and a pedal steel. So she's telling my parents that I should learn lap steel.
Yeah.
I think really what it was is they had a program for kids.
Oh.
Because I used to be in these recitals, right? You know, and I went, and I think she just kind of talked my parents into it. I'm too young to know.
Uh-huh.
All I know is that when I was watching the Country Music Time show, there was a guy that played pedal steel.
Uh-huh.
Guy named Red Rhodes, who became a famous wrecking crew guy.
Yeah.
And I said, well, this isn't exactly what I want, but this guy Red Rhodes looks cool, and maybe some of his cool will rub off on me.
Yeah.
And I'm learning how to play steel guitar rag and all the things that you learn on a pedal steel, you know, lap steel. And I did that, and then I lost interest. And then when the folk music hit, and I'm 14, and I hear Bob Dylan, I'm like, you know what? I've always wanted to learn to play guitar. The heck with this. I'm going to learn. I went out and bought a guitar.
Yeah.
Cheap, $14. What Marco Polo, it had metal strings on it. I'm watching Dylan and Peter, Paul and Mary with the catgut strings, you know, and I'm like, no, I want those strings. I literally took the metal strings off. I filed down the nut to put the, to put the classical strings in, just so to make it easier. And back then, you know, there's no YouTube. There's nothing.
Yeah.
You get a chord book and you're like going like this, you know, like how do I make a D?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, God, F is so hard. Do I need it? I'm looking at the music book. How many times is there? Like, I'm an idiot. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just sat and taught myself guitar. And in those days, people would come over and say, hey, let me show you this or that.
Of course.
You know, then I went electric. And what's the first music I played? Surf music.
Yeah.
You know, it's early 60s. It's Dick Dale, man. It's like we're playing surf music at a surf band. You know, in the book, you'll see a picture of my band when we went mod and played Rolling Stones, but then you'll see a picture of us, you know, as a surf band.
What was the name of your band?
Pardon?
What was the name of your band?
The name of our band was the Jades.
Right on. That's a great
We
name.
were the Jades in Downey, California.
And Downey?
Downey, California. I actually went to Downey High.
Okay.
It was famous for two musical groups. One, Karen Carpenter, who I went to high school with. I went to high school with Karen.
Wow.
We were buddies, yeah. And then the Blasters came later.
Yeah.
You know, but Downey has a lot of guitar stuff about Downey. Bigsby, Paul Bigsby, the guy that is known for creating the first solid body electric guitar that was usable, right? Les Paul created the log, but that wasn't.
Yeah.
That was just a log with two sides of a guitar on it. It wasn't practical.
Sure.
So Bigsby gets credit for the first solid body electric guitar.
Yep.
He lives in Downey or near Downey. I think Les Paul for a while lived in Downey, and Leo Fender starts Fender not that far away from Downey.
Yeah. Also a big car place, isn't it?
What?
A big car place.
Oh, huge.
Where they were doing all the hot rods.
Yeah, no, I mean, I grew up with hot rods. I mean, you know, I mean, when I think of my childhood in high school, like high school, I'm in high school, playing in a band on the weekend. I'm driving a 390 Mustang with a Holly 4-barrel in it. Right? It's got mag wheels. I'm racing in the street. Right? This is only in high school. I'm cruising hamburger places. I mean, like, you know.
It's the California dream.
In this country in the 50s, everybody had hot cars. Everybody took their parents' cars and fixed them up.
Yeah.
Or, like, my mom needed a car, and I said, hey, let's split a car. I was getting ready to go to college. We were just going to get a regular Mustang because that was the car then. But my cousin Gary came to town from Baltimore. He was a car guy. He goes, no, you don't want that. This is what you want. So we go to the Ford place, and he sticks us in a 390 Mustang. He goes, this is what you want. So I said, Mom, are you going to be okay with this? You know, it's just a race car. She goes, yeah. My mom was cool. Oh, what's funny is, so I put mag wheels on it, right?
Yep.
So, but my mom's driving it during the week, and I'm driving it on the weekends because I'm in college during the week. So, but my mom's like pulling up to lights, and guys in GTOs are pulling up next to her, going, "Hey, you want to go?" And my mom's like, "No." I was like, she's like, "Paul, all these people want to race me." I said, "No, I know, man. This car is a good match against a GTO. All the guys in GTOs are going to be after you, you know."
Yeah.
So I played in a high school band. We were the Jades. We soon as the British invasion hit, we weren't surf anymore. We bought Paisley pants. I had Paul Revere's and the Raiders boots, and it's all Rolling Stones covers and whatever, that kind of thing. Sure. And we had a Vox organ, of course.
Yeah.
A big time 60s. There's a beautiful photo in the book of us. It looks like we had been on Shindig or something, and we had the first and only strobe light in Downey, California.
Wow.
So we were like a thing, right? We were psychedelic. I mean, you put the strobe on the band we put it on for our encore. I'm a guitar player. At the time I was playing a Rickenbacker 6-string. Right? Okay. So, which, by the way, is a nice story. I wound up giving that to Elvis Costello. That's another story that you should know about.
Well, we're gonna get to it. Where did you surf at? If you're living in Downey, you can't really surf El Segundo.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, I did. I mean, your board gets all full of oil. Yeah. I did it, and my board got oil all over it and everything. You surfed everywhere, but in Southern California, when we were younger and we didn't have licenses, right? My dad used to take us to Seal Beach.
Okay.
And there was the Seal Beach Pier, and then down the way by the jetty, there was a place called Ray Bay.
Okay.
Because it had stingrays living in it, and you had to be
careful.
I got stung. That's a whole other story. But there was a steam plant, and the steam plant made the water warm. Uh-huh. The excess steam went in the water, and so a lot of people learned how to surf because the water was more calm.
Yeah.
Then were, Ray Bay, the Seal Beach Pier, and Huntington, because my dad would take us to Huntington Beach, so we learned how to surf in those breaks. And once we got licenses, because we were reading Surfer magazine, right? We're going,
the world of Oyster.
Where's the water blue like that, right?
Yeah.
That's right. If you go to Laguna Beach and south, Laguna Beach, San Clemente, Swami's, Pipes, Tourmaline, all these places are, Salt Creek, they're all south. And once we got our licenses, we felt like we were in a different country.
Sure.
Because we were seeing the waves that were in Surfer magazine.
Yeah.
And we were like, man, now we're on, we're big time now. Now we're on these waves. And I still surf, so I have fun. My kids surf, and I have a granddaughter who surfs. It's like a freaking fleet of us out there. So, but it's fun for me to turn them on to where, I was out. My favorite break is a place called Pipes. It's just down the way from Swami. Swami's is a point break, and then down the beach is the beach breaks, Pipes.
Yep.
And last year I took my granddaughter. She's 14 now. She was 13 then. We're at Pipes. Now, first of all, I'm sitting out there going, it's weird enough just to have children, to have grandchildren. That's a whole, where did you people come from? And I'm going, this is amazing. I am surfing this same place. And I brought my kids there when they were young, and now there's a granddaughter surfing where I surfed when I was 18 years old. And she calls me, my nickname's Jeeps, because I'm Grandpa Paul, and that went to GP, and that turned into Jeeps.
Okay.
I'm sitting in a lineup next to my granddaughter, right? And I bought a brand new Takayama, Donald Takayama, gorgeous 10-foot, Takayama 2. I bought it in purple. It's wicked purple.
Wow. And
I'm sitting next to her, and she looks at me. She goes, "Come on, Jeeps, start paddling. We're going to take this one in together." I can't even tell you, my heart, I'm just, everything is exploding. Is this really happening? There's a granddaughter, and I'm surfing with her, and she's like, "Come on, we're taking this one in together." So I'm back from the 60s when I first started surfing.
Yeah.
Very amazing. It's just an amazing thing to have to happen. So, and then in the East Coast, we surf Long Beach. We go to Montauk when we can. I mean, there's a reef out there. It's all rocks and cobblestone. So it gives you a good wave. But okay, so here's the best part.
Okay.
We're going out to breakfast afterwards, and I've taken her to here and there. I took her to Doheny, right? It's great wave.
Sure. Yeah.
I go, what do you think? She goes, Jeeps, I got to tell you, man, my favorite break is Pipes. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's my favorite break. I love Pipes. I was like, man, I passed something down to a granddaughter. It's like, yeah, pipes. It was a wonderful. Southern California was a wonderful place to grow up.
Yeah.
Not quite the same as it used to be, but it's still a lot to like.
Oh yeah.
The waves are still there.
Yeah.
The waves are still there. The Mexican food is still there.
Oh yeah.
And we go there 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And now there's a yearly for sure meetup surf in July.
Oh, right on.
With my son Adam and my other son Sam. Now he's got a daughter who's just turned 5.
Uh-huh.
So probably this summer we'll plop her on a board and just give her a little shove.
Yeah.
And see if she likes it. You don't know really. You don't know if kids are going to like it or not. I mean, Kaya, we sort of wait. I said, look, wait for her to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to put her in a way and then have her have a bad incident and tell her, And so when she was older, I think she was like 7, she was like, you and my dad I don't want to do this. I was like, okay. So we put her in surf school first so that she wouldn't have to deal with a parent and a grandparent,
over
all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just see her trying to wetsuit on going, oh, it's sticky or whatever. I don't know.
Yep.
Put her in surf school with other kids. Instant, do this, put a wetsuit on. Okay, I'll do this. So then they, sort of got her going.
Yep.
And then we could give her pointers after that.
Yep.
But she took to it right away. I mean, when I picked her up, I wanted to be very careful. I just said, hey, Kai, how did it feel out in the water? How'd you just... She goes, GP, I caught a lot of waves. I was like, you did? She goes, oh, yeah. These guys are great. They had me up in no time. The videos of her, like, her first day, I mean, the waves are this big.
Yeah.
Little, of course. But she's up and riding. I go, what do you think? She goes, oh, I'm a surfer. I was like, they live in Austin, Texas. So when they come out, it's a big deal for them, to come out and ride waves.
So back to the Jades. Like, did you guys ever play? I mean, you probably played a lot of dances and stuff, but did you ever play like Knott's Berry Farm or anything like that?
The biggest thing we played a very famous club in Hollywood called the Kaleidoscope.
Okay.
There was a battle of the bands.
Uh-huh.
We did very well. I mean, we were buttoned up. We looked good. We had a show. We rehearsed a lot.
Okay.
We played this club, and we were in a battle of the bands. It's a funny story. Right before I'm supposed to go, a woman who became my wife, we were high school sweethearts, which if you get the book, you read about that.
Okay.
Then we break up, we magically get back together, but in high school, we're a thing.
Yep.
And we were making out on her bed or her brother's bed or whatever, and her mom comes in and finds us, right?
Oh, boy.
This is bad. This is bad.
Yeah.
Her mom was very cool, but she flipped out.
Yeah, of course.
What are you guys doing? I mean, we didn't have any clothes off or anything, but we're not sitting up. We're like laying down. This is not good.
Yep.
So her mom goes, Sharon, you're not going to this. You're grounded. Paul, get out of here. I was like, oh, no, mom. I used to call her mom. I was like, no, you don't understand. My band is about to play the most important date of our lives. I need Sharon there. Please, I'm begging you.
Yeah.
I won't kiss her for a month. I have to let her go. All right. They trusted me. She's cool. She let Sharon go.
Uh-huh.
What we don't realize is all these bands have brought all their peeps down to vote for them.
Oh, wow.
Right? And I'm like, oh, no, it's like that?
Yeah.
It's like Sharon's there and one of the guys' girlfriends was like 2 of our girlfriends are there and that's it, right? I'm like, oh, man, this is a big deal. And the bands that play there are good bands.
Uh-huh.
The band that was ahead of us were playing Beatles covers and they sounded like the Beatles. It was a circular stage. It was in the round. So one band played and then another band set up. So then the next band, they just turn the stage and then you come into view.
Yep.
The sound guy, I said, well, how do we plug in? He goes, well, there's a sound box in the middle of the stage. And he says, so, you unplug the other band's plugs, you plug yours in.
Yep.
I didn't realize he meant after the band gets done playing. So this is hotshot Beatles band playing, and I unplug up. And they're like, and they're like, what? They see me. I was wearing a John Lennon cap at the time. They're going, get that guy. So now I'm being chased by this band, whatever. So we get our shot, and it's all, we didn't really have any original. It's all cover songs. But in those days, in the '60s, I mean, if you were playing in a band in the '60s, you're a freaking rock star.
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, I would walk into a club and people go, "Can I carry your amp?" And I'm like, Sure. Like, please. We did really good, even with there was like 3 or 4 bands. I think there were 4 or 5. There's 4 at least. And even though none of our friends were in the audience, okay, we didn't win, but we got second place.
Wow.
That's how good our band was. So now, this is the funniest part. So the club owner says, okay, look, you guys are really good. You need to come back here. I want you to play here. Like, this is a big shot. You're going to play in a hall. Because you got to join the musicians union.
Okay.
All right, now we're very young kids. We're blue-collar kids. We don't have a lot of money.
Yep.
We're getting paid $25 a piece to play a show. That's a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of money for a blue collar kid in the 60s.
Uh-huh.
And so we go okay. So we go back. So now to join the union is going to cost $200 a piece.
Wow.
We don't have $200 to join.
No.
Now here's our pea brain thinking. Well, we can join the union for $200 a piece, be in debt to our parents forever.
Yeah.
Or we could just keep playing these dances in clubs and make $25 a piece. To us, that made more sense. So, we never continued to play at the Kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
But we were known around Downey. And then later I was in another band that actually is sort of known as a punk band. We were punk before punk was called punk.
Okay.
If you look it up on the internet, there's a band called Mogan David and his Winos.
Okay.
We were the Winos before Keith's Wino.
Yeah.
But we had originals.
Okay.
We were a punk band. We became, I don't know why, I mean, we were pretty good. I don't think we were like that amazing, but maybe it was just our style or whatever.
Uh-huh.
We became known in LA, okay. We made a record, our own record. We went to a studio in the middle of the night, recorded it for free, snuck into a recording studio.
Yeah.
Made all the inserts. We did like live at Leeds. We had a lot of little paper inserts.
Uh-huh.
Had my flunked Music 1 test from UCLA because I had flunked Music 1. We thought that was funny. We put that in there. So, but if you go on the internet and you look at Mogan David and his Winos, there's a lot of stuff written about us, and our records are on eBay.
Oh, wow.
Selling like collector's items.
Uh-huh.
It cracks me up, right? We were a thing, bigger than I knew. The guy who had the band, because I auditioned with a drummer friend of mine, this guy named Harold Bronson. He wanted to take the band on the road, and I was like, Harold, man, I don't know if we're that good. And I'm not a homebody, but I can't. There was a point in my life, which you read in the book, where I'm like, I don't think I can live life on the. I love to play. I was playing in jam sessions all night long. I said, but I don't think I can. I don't think I can live on the road. I mean, I think I'll be a casualty, just knowing me.
Yep.
And then Columbia came along, and there was a part-time job. I started as a college rep, part-time job. And I told Harold, I said, I think I'm going to try to work for a record company. I can still play guitar, but it's a steady paycheck.
Yeah.
I can't live out of a suitcase. That's just not who I am. He said, well, if you're going to do that, then I'm going to go to this place called Rhino Records because Richard Foos wants to start a label.
Uh-huh.
Harold Bronson from Mogan David and the Winos is the co-owner and co-creator of Rhino Records.
Wow.
Yes, right? Becomes a multi-millionaire.
Yep.
All right, so now he does that. I do pretty well in the record business. When the Ramones hit, he calls me and he goes, you see, this would have been us. And I said, oh, man, maybe. We'll never know. But, I had a nice career in the record business, and he was Rhino. But neither of us are complaining, right?
And those guys are all dead except for Marky.
Yeah, exactly. The road can be rough. I mean, if all you have to do is play a show, and you're rehearsed, what are you doing all day long, and what are you doing after the show? And it's
yeah.
The demons will pull you. So in college, I really wanted to learn the blues.
Yeah.
Like I was a serious, how do I do this? I played a Rickenbacker for a long time.
Is that the Rickenbacker that ended up with Elvis?
Yeah. I played that Rick. That was my high school guitar. Loved it. I bought it because I was a big Birds fan.
Oh, okay.
I did buy the 12 string because I needed to play,
Yeah.
regular songs, but the Rick has that sound, and so you can get a pretty jingle jangle sound out of the Rickenbacker. And so I started to play. One of the guys in my band, Frank Shargo, had given me his Gibson Melody Maker.
Yep.
Which is, you get more sustain out of it, and I was fond of the Gibson necks. And I didn't know much about Les Pauls at the time, other than having seen Michael Bloomfield. I was lucky to see Michael Bloomfield in person.
Wow.
And I didn't even realize, and I'll tell you the Elvis story in a minute, but I'm a college rep at UCLA, and Electric Flag comes to play. Now, I'm a Michael Bloomfield fan from Paul Butterfield days.
Yeah.
This guy's coming to my college, and I'm going to learn these secrets. Like, I'm going to be right in front of Michael Bloomfield.
Yeah.
So this is like how things used to be. Barry Goldberg, the keyboard player, he's late. So Bloomfield's on the PA. He's going, yeah, our keyboard player is. He's like, he's late. Does anybody play keys out there? There's all loose things. And you guys raise your hand. He goes, come backstage. Like, we might need you, right?
Yeah.
These guys are great players. Oh, Harvey Brooks on bass. These guys are like amazing players, right?
Yeah.
So I watch him play, and he's got a Y jack. He's playing a Les Paul, and he's plugged into 2 Fender twin reverbs.
Wow.
2. That's pretty fucking loud. Okay?
That's very loud, yes.
And he's got also these boutique amps. They're all wired together. He's got a sound. He's not too loud. He's loud, but he's full.
Yep.
God, top 3 of greatest guitar players ever. I mean, Bob Dylan thinks he is the greatest guitar player, ever. So I'm watching Bloomfield, and Bloomfield, he's like makes love to the guitar. He holds it like he's cradling it. And between the volume and the bends and what he does, I mean, he makes you sad, he makes you happy, he makes you exhilarated.
Yep.
I'm watching one of the greatest guitar players of all time. I am freaking out. But I don't know, how is he doing this? How does this work? So I go backstage afterwards. I go, hey, Michael, big fan, blah, blah. I'm the Columbia Records college rep. I'm a fucking kid, right?
Yeah.
I go, I need to know, how do you get the sustain, right? There's no YouTube, right? There's none of this.
Yep.
You listen to records and you go, how do they do that? So he looks at me and he goes, it's in the fingers. It's all in the fingers. Now, I think he's egoing out on me. Like, oh, man, I'm a rock star. But he's not. He's trying to tell me something.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, okay, thanks. Nice to meet you. And I leave, and I'm a little dejected. But I go back to my fraternity house. And I've got some stacks of amps, and I've got all I've got is the Rickenbacker, but I do what he did. Turn everything up to 10.
Yeah.
Right? And then hit, a note and I watched him wiggle his finger. It's a vibrato. Right? We all know that. But back then, and I do what he does, and I'm like, holy shit. Oh my God. It's in the fingers, right?
Yeah.
I put down the guitar, I run across campus. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. People think I'm crazy. It's in the fingers. People think I'm out of my mind. By the time I get there, he's long gone. Because I wanted to thank him, right?
Yeah.
Wanted to give him a hug. But then I realized, okay, wait a minute, and he's playing a different kind of guitar, and I can't get the sound out of this Rickenbacker. It doesn't do it.
Yeah.
It's not made for that. It's just got its own sound.
Yeah.
So my buddy Frank Shargo said, okay, hey man, here, take the Melody Maker, not a Les Paul, but it's closer, right? So it's like, okay, let me play that. So I had the Rick. It was just under my bed, and I guess it's mid '50s when Elvis, shows up at Columbia, new band, Elvis Costello and the Attractions. I fall in love with the music. I'm promoting Elvis.
Yep.
He comes to the West Coast. We hit it off. We're going around. He wanted a Rickenbacker. I want to get that sound. I want a Rickenbacker. But a lot of people, because they couldn't get the sounds they needed as an overall player in a band, they took the Ricks and they took the pickups out.
Yeah.
And they put like a humbucker or something different to make the more versatile guitar.
Exactly.
But I never did that because my view of guitars is that they all have souls.
Yeah.
They're made, and I know this may sound like hippy-dippy, but I swear to God, they all have souls, and every one you play has its own personality, and every one you play has a song in it, or two or more.
Yeah.
And so I never messed with the soul, right? It was like, the Rick sounds like the Rick. If I ever want a Rick, that's it. I'm not going to mess with it. Well, we went around all these guitar stores and we could not find one. And I said, you know what, Al? I have one that I played in my high school band, the Jades, and I don't play it anymore. I'll just give you mine.
Yeah.
And he said, well, let me buy it from you at least. And I said, people have been giving me guitars. Somebody gave me acoustic guitar. My Frank had given me the Melody Maker. I said, I think I'm supposed to give one back. I feel like I'm supposed to give one back. And I said, look, and you and I are buds now. And I said, what are you going to give me? It means more to me to give it to you as a gift.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you my Rick. So he says, great. So I give him the Rick. Later that year in the fall, he calls me up and says, you're going to be very happy. I go, why? He goes, wait till you hear my new album, Armed Forces. Your Rickenbacker is all over it.
Right on.
And sure enough, if you listen to Armed Forces and What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding, you'll hear the clang. It's a Rick, right? It's a Ricky. Yeah. And so I went, oh my God, my Rickenbacker that I bought at Downey Music for $450. It's famous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then he used to call, it's a true story. And then he would call at Christmas and go, hey, listen, I just got to tell you something. I go, what? He goes, it's been a really cold winter and we ran out of firewood.
No.
And he had me going, right?
Oh, man.
I'm like, you're kidding me, right? I'm so guilty, I have to tell you. I'm like, he had me going. This is British humor.
Yeah.
Hey, Al, thanks, But, and he and I, he's a really good person.
Yeah.
I wrote this book. I was looking for a few quotes.
Uh-huh.
And I don't talk to El much anymore, but a friend of mine talks to him all the time. I said, I'd love to get a quote from Elvis Costello. I wrote an email, hey, do you want what I wrote about you? Do you want the whole book? Didn't care.
Yeah.
A day later, I get a great quote from Elvis Costello. From
right
the back
on.
of it.
That's great.
Same with Nick Mason from Pink Floyd.
Yeah. Right on.
You open the book when you get it, you just read the back of it. They just used a little part of it. You read the entire quote.
Okay.
It's like, oh my God, thank you, just thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was Elvis playing before he got your Rick?
He plays a jazz master.
Oh, the jazz master.
Yeah, he plays a jazz master. This was for a recording.
Yeah.
He plays out. He always plays the jazz master, which, by the way, is a remarkable guitar. And I didn't realize it. I thought, oh, that's just the rhythm guitar that surf bands use.
Yeah.
like growing up in the 50s.
Yeah.
The lead guitar, if you had money, lead guitar player a Fender Jaguar, the rhythm guitar played a Jazz Master, and the bass player played a Fender bass, and they all had an amp.
Yep.
The dual showman or the bandmaster or the whatever.
Yep.
But when I went to play one of those, I asked, I went to a guitar store. I said, what is the thing about a Jazz Master? And the guy was showing me all the sounds and everything. Yeah. It's a remarkable guitar.
Oh, yeah.
And so I know why he plays it. It's just a remarkable instrument.
Yeah, as is the Jaguar as well.
As is the Jaguar, right? Yes, of course. So, but that's a fun story.
Yeah. And that we should say the book is called Gliding Over Hollywood.
It's called Gliders.
Gliders Over Hollywood.
Gliders Over Hollywood. Think of a balsa wood glider.
Yeah.
Gliders Over Hollywood. If you read the book, there's a story in it about that.
Yeah.
There's a subtitle that says Airships, Airplay, and the Art of Rock Promotion, because I had developed a giant airship for Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
All this other stuff that's in there, but
the thing we didn't talk about you was that you are actually the person that created all the magic.
Well, I created some magic.
The marketing magic.
Oh, the marketing magic. Yeah, I mean, I think also now I don't know, because they and you might like this. Probably your listeners will like it. Did someone hit? You can even talk about guitar players and guitar playing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you know this or not, but I got a thank you Christmas present from Pink Floyd, and I got to play with them on stage live in London.
Wow.
At the London Arena.
Wow.
I've been close to them since they first came to Columbia, which was with the Wish You Were Here album.
Uh-huh.
I did a lot of work with them, helped promote them. When they had the split, which was very uncomfortable,
uh-huh,
at least, Roger decided he wanted a solo tour, and the Pink Floyd guys decided they wanted to continue as Pink Floyd. And
yep.
Roger didn't think they were going to do that, so he said, David said, "Come, we have the name." And he said, "Sure," because Roger at the time was taking so much control of the band, with the wall and everything, that he just didn't think they would go on. And David and Nick were like, "Well,
what the hell?"
We went on with after Sid Barrett. What it's like, we know who you are and what you've meant to the band, but why can't we're still Pink Floyd?
Yeah.
It didn't go well with Roger, and it's legendary. The feud is legendary.
Sure.
It's still today. I don't even. People don't care anymore. It's like, guys, stop. Nobody cares. Like, okay, you broke up. Enough. You can't take it anymore. They keep they keep throwing salvos at each other. So I had Roger in this ear and Gilmore in this ear. Like, what's that guy doing? What are they doing? I'm like, I'm a professional promotion man. Roger, I love you. I think you're a great artist. I'm going to work really hard for you, just like I do for these guys. But I'm going to work hard for them too.
Yeah.
I'm professional. This is okay. But when Momentary Lapse of Reason comes out, this is going to be the first record without Roger.
Yeah.
We don't know. Do the fans accept a Pink Floyd without Roger Waters? So that's a question. That's we don't know. They don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They're mounting a tour. They're making a record. They made a really good record, Momentary Lapse. It was different. It was a breath of fresh air from what Floyd used to sound like. It still sounded like Pink Floyd, but it was different. It wasn't a concept album.
Yep.
They had Rick Wright back, because Rick didn't play on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Rick Wright is so much of Pink Floyd. You need Rick Wright. Rick Wright's the soundscape. I mean, you can't have a Pink Floyd record without Rick Wright.
Yeah.
So Rick Wright comes back, and at any rate, I said to them, I said, look, I really want to do some really big promotions because this is going to be different, and I really want to go out with a big, front forward move. And I said, I want you guys to meet radio people that you never met. They've been playing your records for years. Yeah. They're going to be thrilled to meet you, and if they meet you, you're going to form a bond, and they're going to play your music for 2 more months than they usually would. It's just the way things are. And I want to borrow your pig. So what are you talking about? I said, you have some of those inflatable pigs. I have more than one, obviously, in case there's damage, right? I said, I want to borrow them because I'm going to paint radio stations pink, their buildings. I'm going to fly the pig over their radio station and put Klieg lights on it for night viewing. And in Los Angeles, at the big station at KLOS, I want you guys to do me a favor. I want you to do an interview on the roof of KLOS.
Wow.
Now, Dave and Nick, they don't like doing interviews anyway, much less on the roof. I once got a little note from them, a little piece of tape, right? Another favor for Rappaport, really? Right? It was a joke to me. Right? So, anyway, so with all the promotion and all this grandiose stuff, the tour was a huge success. The album was a huge success. I get a call at the end of the year. We want to give you a Christmas present, and we want to thank you for everything you've done for us. Come and play one song live with us, right? This is the Christmas present. The manager calls.
Yeah.
I say, oh, you mean like at a rehearsal? No, proper gig. I'm like, proper gig on stage with Pink Floyd. Yeah. I go, okay. And I think it's a nice gesture. I go, hey, Steve, that's great, thanks. I hang up. 3 months later, he calls back. He goes, are you coming? I said, what are you talking about? He goes, to play with the band. I said, was that real? I just thought it was a nice gesture. I said, Steve, I'm a real player. I don't want to get up there and pose. I'm not a poser. I'm a player. He goes, I know. Gilmore knows that. That's the present. Don't you get it? Yes, that's the idea. Yes, you play in Pink Floyd. I said, oh, like that? Yeah, okay. So he said, but the States dates are done.
Yeah.
So you got to come to, England or France or Russia. I chose England because I thought I could just see myself in France, not speaking the language, trying to tell the guy, no, I really am supposed to be up there. So anyway, so they told me to learn Run Like Hell because it was the encore.
Oh, right on.
And easy, he said, David said, look, if you come for the encore, then you're there, and I don't have to have you come on and have you come off. Because I said, what's the easiest for you? I said, play the encore, play Run Like Hell. It's a lot of fun, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I got a Pink Floyd cover band guy because Run Like Hell on the album, there's different chords.
Sure.
Second. I mean, there's things that I needed to learn.
Yeah.
So I went to England in July in 1989 with my wife and my Telecaster, because Dave was playing a Telecaster at the time, so I'll play a Telecaster.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how beautiful these people are. How the heart of these people. I mean, I can't. It's like, it's like, James, who does this? Who says, we want to thank you so much, come and play in our band?
Yeah.
Who does that? Okay, who does that? David Gilmour and Nick Mason.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Come and play in our band. So I'm treated like a band member from the get-go. I'm in a van with David and his family. We go to the venue, right?
Yep.
Giant arena, blah, blah, blah. He gives me a sound check, holds the doors, tells the promoter, hold the doors, Rapp's my nickname, so my last name's Rappaport. Hold the doors. Got to give Rapp a sound check. Says, you're going to stand here, plug into this. It's rigged from here to eternity.
Yeah.
All I know is when I plug into it, best guitar sound I ever got in my entire life. Right? I have the Dave Gilmour sound.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, oh my God. So he goes, okay, this is what it's going to sound like. So just so you know. So, okay, go back. I watched the first half of the show with Sharon. It's a surreal thing because now I'm going to be in the second half
Exactly.
of the show. How does this work, right? I go outside to just get my breath, right? I just need a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Who's out there but their lighting director, Mark Brickman, famous lighting director. At the time, if anybody who listening who saw the Momentary That's the Reason tour, had flying saucers.
Uh-huh.
Each flying saucer had a man in it, and a light would come down when you played a lead solo. Like the flying saucer would hover over your head and the light would come down.
Wow.
So Brickman goes, hey, I hear Dave's going to let you play some lead solos, which I'll tell you about in a minute. He goes, well, when you do, that flying saucer is going to come down and I'm going to try to knock you off the riser that you're on, right, with the flying saucer. And I'm like, Brickman, are you kidding me? It's like as if I don't have enough to worry about.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I don't think he's really going to do it, but he's a tough kid from New York, and you don't know. So that's another thing I got to worry about. Anyway, go backstage. I said, hey, Dave, I learned this song frontwards and backwards, A suspended second. He goes, no, that's just for the album. Just hit a power chord. That's what I do. I said, okay. And he goes, and I want you to have fun. I said, well, I'm going to have fun. He goes, but like you could play lead. I go, you're telling me I can play lead there's a breakdown in the middle of Run Like Hell where there's lead guitar.
Yeah.
He said, yeah. He said, but you have to sound like Pink Floyd. I said, well, Dave, I've been working on one song for 3 months. Like I know how to sound like Pink Floyd. I'm waiting backstage, waiting for the encore. I've gone to the bathroom 20 times because I'm so nervous. A guy shows up. I don't know if this was a tradition every night, but that night, an English guy shows up. He's wearing a tux or black suit. He looks immaculate. He's got a silver tray of port wine and glasses. David gargled with port wine because an opera singer had told him if you gargle with port wine, it's a good thing. Oh, wow. Well, David likes wine, so he gargles with it and he drinks it. So, and they're asking me, would you like a glass of port? I'm like, yeah, give me that thing. I shoot it like a shot, right? Yeah. Give me another one. So I only got one, right? Anyway, David says, look, I'm going to walk up and just wind the crowd up, and then you come up. I said, okay. So Dave walks up, plugs his guitar in, everything's dark. Even the stage is dimly lit. You can barely see. So Dave starts just doing guitar sounds, like, right, and then lasers start to go out.
Yeah.
Then I go upstairs, and the rest of the band members, I go with the rest of the band members, and we're all spreading out, right? And I can see Nick Mason to my left, and there's John Caron, guitar player, Rick Wright, and it's starting to, dawn on me like I'm on stage with Pink Floyd, like it's Richard Wright,
yeah.
And there's Guy Pratt who's playing bass, and the girl singer's over here, and the big round screen is behind me.
Yeah.
And, so it's like, okay, the guitar tech, famous guitar tech, Phil Taylor, knights me with my guitar. Rap, here's your telly. Would you like a pick? Would you like some water? Would you like a towel? I'm like, I could get used to this. Like, all I got to do is play, right? So, James, get this now. All of a sudden, his eyes go wild, and he goes, duck! And he shoves me down to my haunches, and a freaking giant green laser beam shoots over our heads.
Wow.
And he goes, be careful. You could get killed up here. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, all of a sudden, he goes, now listen, that riser you were on before? I go, yeah. He goes, when I tell you to go, you go over to that riser, because if you don't go when I tell you, a giant robot's going to come out of the out of the stage, and you don't want to be riding on top of it, right? It's like, got it, Phil, got it. Okay, go now. So I go, and I'm on a riser. David's in front of me. To his right's another great guitar player named Tim Rennick. A great guitar player. And so I'm taking the place of Scott Page, who plays third guitar and doubles on sax. It's a real part. When you're in Pink Floyd, you play like it's an orchestra.
Sure.
They play the same way every night because it's played to effects.
Yeah.
Like, when the guitar crescendos come, the lasers come. So it's like a giant orchestra, and you play your part in the orchestra. So I'm sitting there getting ready to go. I can't see anything. It's just dark. But there's 15,000 kids. But you feel them, like you can't see them, right? Yep. So, and Run Like Hell, starts with the drums, like, ba, 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 ba. It comes up. All of a sudden, the sound guy pushes the faders up. Everything's loud. The monitors are full. And the stage lights hit you.
Yeah.
And you're like blinded. It's like bright. You're gone from total darkness to insane brightness. So I adjust my eyes, and I know the song, and the beginning of Run Like Hell is a crescendo, 3 guitars together. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful to hear. It's like, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. And when you hear 3 guitars do it, it's elegant.
Yeah.
And I'm just soaking it all in. I'm like, oh, man, this is amazing. I can't believe this is happening. And I'm looking at kids. I'm looking at Dave. They're looking at me because this is their 200th show already. They're like bored to tears.
Yeah.
They see me smiling. They're happy for me.
Yeah.
So when I'm playing. Gilmore's running back, yelling in my ear. My they call me Rapper is also another name. Okay, I'm playing. Gilmore's yelling in my ear. Rapper, let him have it, man. Let him have it. Drill him. I'm like, Dave, shut up. You're gonna mess me up, man. I'm trying to play. Because if I make a mistake, the kids don't know. We're in a giant echo loop. Like, they don't know if I make, but who's going to know? The band's going to know. Yeah. I'm playing for the band. I don't want them to think I'm a poser. I want to hold my own. Like, hey, man. Yeah. I want to play well. These are some of the greatest players in the world. So he goes back. He's smiling. Anyway, in the breakdown, here it comes. There's a Rick Wright kind of cool solo, and then you hear this lick, which I will never forget as long as I live. Dare. And then I get the finger, like the come on finger, like the guitar speak for, okay, answer. Yeah. So I answer. I turn the volume up. There. Now we're trading licks, right? Yeah. Now, for a nanosecond, I'll never forget this because it hit me just like a ton of bricks. I went, let me get this straight. I'm playing in Pink Floyd in the London Arena in front of 15,000 kids, and I'm playing Trading Licks with David Gilmour. Yeah. Is that what's happening?
Right on. That's fantastic.
It's like, and it just explodes in my brain, but you can't think like that because you got to play the song. Yeah. It felt like I thought that forever. I knew I just thought it for a nanosecond. Yeah. So we finish the song. The crowd goes nuts. The pyro goes off. Everything, da-da-da. I had a little lick of my own that I put in at the end just because I wanted a little piece of me in there.
Yeah, of course.
Just a little bell. It's just, it's like nobody's going to care. Yeah. I just wanted to feel like, okay, I put me in the Pink Floyd, right? As if David could care, right? Then I realized it's the end of the song, and I go walk off stage. He goes, no, we have to take a bow. So I'm like, oh, now I have a picture of this isn't in, but I have a picture of me. We're taking a bow. There's David, there's Nick, and there's Scott and the rest of the band, me. Yeah. And I'm flipping pics into the audience going, hey, see you next time. So it was just, oh my God, it was a thrill of a lifetime. They were so nice to me. They made me feel comfortable. And the best part was John Caron, the keyboard player, other than Rick, who's been there for the longest time. Sure. And I'd known him for a long time. The crowd's leaving and we're all getting off the stage, and he walks by me and he looks at me and he gives me a for real thumbs up.
All right on.
And he did. And that better than anything. Like, that's a real player that plays every. He gave me a thumbs up. Like, hey man, you did yourself proud. I was like, oh man, that was the best. So
well, that's great.
Yeah. So anyway, so if just be a guitar player your whole life, and all of a sudden that shows up.
Yeah.
Come on. So
I got 2 questions for you now.
Mm-hmm.
Where do people get the book?
Well. When will this? Well, you can get it.
It'll probably be in less than 2 weeks. It'll be out.
Okay, so it's on for it's up for pre-sale now.
Okay.
So if you go onto Amazon or you go into Barnes and Noble and you just punch in "Gliders Over Hollywood,"
or
Gliders Over Hollywood.
Paul Rappaport.
Yeah, you don't have to say my name. Although it's fascinating to me, if I punch my name in, it comes up. It's like I'm an Amazon thing now.
Yeah.
All they have to do is punch in "Gliders Over Hollywood," and you don't have to be a guitar player to love the book. I mean, you and I are talking guitars, but you'll get to know a lot of your favorite artists in ways that you wouldn't know because you go sort of behind the scenes.
Exactly.
And meet all these characters, and you'll meet a lot of the people who were not rock stars, but who were managers who were just as far out as the rock stars, and you learn about them as well.
Yeah.
You just click on "Gliders Over Hollywood." That's the simplest thing. Amazon will send it to you the day of release.
Yeah.
The April 1st is when it comes out.
Okay.
They'll send it to you that day.
Right on.
And
then my second question. Why haven't you spoken to Bob Lefsetz?
I am going to speak to Bob.
Oh, are you really? Right on.
Yeah, no. But Bob is a character, to say the least.
Yes.
And I read in one of his tirades about a month ago, don't send me your book. I don't want to review your book. These typos, like, you guys aren't even trying. And so, but I think probably next week I'm going to send him an email and say, book, don't freak out.
Yeah.
This is 6 years in the making. This is 3 editors. This is a professional publisher.
Yeah.
This is your story. You're going to like this book.
Yeah.
Because I actually think, if you know him, what he writes about, I actually think he'll love it. Because you know what? It's not a me book. It's a we book. It's celebrating us. It's about celebrating our music. When you read it, you're going to read what I did. I accomplished some pretty far out things, but it doesn't read like that, So I think he'll love it. If he wants to write about it, he will. I would guess he would, and I might even be on his podcast one day.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So I think it's a natural for him. As long as he doesn't, when he sees book, he doesn't panic. Yeah. This is not your typical, sort of vanity project. Took a long time to put this together. I wanted it to be a great read, a fun read. And I wanted people to know what it was like be there. Like, you're there when you read this book. It's a you are there book. You're having conversations with Keith Richards and Mick Jagger and Bob Dylan and all these people. Yeah. So I want people to have the fun that I had. That's why I wrote it.
Yeah, right on. Well, I look forward to reading it.
Yes. So I said, I'm going to send you a PDF. You read it this way. It's not like a Kindle. Like it's a.
Yeah.
But it's I've read this book a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I've read the PDF version. But I think you'll like the photos. The photos are gas because they're different kinds of photos that you wouldn't normally see. And, well, it's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Paul.
And, we'll talk again.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to you again, man. Hopefully someday I can meet you in person.
Oh, that could happen. I come up. We have Sharon's brother lives up there, and we go to San Francisco when we can.
Yeah. I
just took the 5-year-old granddaughter for a day. I go, look, you're going to ride in a thing called a trolley car. It's going to be amazing. It's going to go up these giant hills and it's going to come down. And she was like, oh, and then I'm going to show you this giant bridge, like the biggest bridge you've ever seen, and she was like, her wide-eyed, it's like, just to show her San Francisco. So that was recent. So, but I don't need an excuse to go back to San Francisco. I love San Francisco. So.
Right on. Good.
Okay.
Well, thanks.
Look forward to it all.
Me too. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Right.
You too. Thanks for listening to Have Guitar Will Travel. You can catch up on all the things I'm doing at thedeadlies.com, and I'm on all the social media platforms as well. And please support Vintage Guitar and all the wonderful things they do, because they do many, many wonderful things for us guitar players. Thanks. Please subscribe. Please tell a friend, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.